Hey, so you're looking at the Martin DC-10E and wondering if it's the right guitar to add to your collection or maybe your first serious acoustic-electric. I get it. You don't want to drop a couple $100 on something that ends up feeling like a toy or, worse, a project you'll never finish. I've played a few Martins over the years, and this one stands out because it's not just a beginner guitar dressed up in a shiny finish. It's a real Martin with a modern twist, and that matters when you're trying to decide whether to pull the trigger. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Now, here's the thing. If you're used to playing electrics or you've been borrowing a friend's Dreadnought and it feels too big, the DC-10E might surprise you. The Cutaway changes the game. I've seen players with smaller frames suddenly feel comfortable reaching the upper frets when they're singing backup or noodling leads. That's not something you get on every Martin in this price range, and it's a real advantage if you're playing live or just want more flexibility without switching to a parlor model. But let's talk tone first. The Spruce top is classic Martin, and it's paired with Sapele back and sides, which gives it a warmer mid-range than you'd expect from a full rosewood Dreadnought. I played it through a small Fender Acoustasonic amp at a backyard jam last weekend, and it cut through the mix without sounding harsh. That's useful if you're playing with a drummer or a loud singer and need your guitar to hold its own. The built-in Fishman E1 electronics with the chromatic tuner are surprisingly accurate. I tested it against my clip-on tuner, and it matched within a cent. That might not sound like a big deal until you're tuning on stage and realize you don't have to second-guess the onboard tuner. Now, the finish. It's satin, which means it doesn't glare under stage lights and it doesn't feel sticky after hours of playing. I've played guitars with gloss finishes that feel like they're wearing a plastic coat after a while, and this one doesn't. The black aesthetic isn't just for looks, it hides fingerprints and sweat, which is a small but real benefit if you're playing out regularly. But here's where it gets practical. The gig-ready setup is a nice touch, but don't assume it's perfect straight out of the box. I had to lower the action slightly at the 12th fret because the strings were buzzing near the neck joint when I played hard. That's not a deal breaker, it's a 10-minute adjustment with an Allen key, but if you're not comfortable tweaking the truss rod or saddle, you might need to budget for a setup at your local shop. A lot of buyers don't realize that even guitars labeled gig-ready often need a tweak or two to feel right in your hands. Who should buy this guitar? If you're a singer-songwriter who needs a reliable stage partner that doesn't break the bank, this is a solid choice. It's loud enough to fill a room without a PA, and the electronics are good enough that you won't sound muffled through a small amp. If you're upgrading from a starter guitar and want something that feels like a real Martin but isn't a vintage reissue priced like a used car, this fits the bill. It's also a great gift for a family member who's serious about learning but doesn't want a beginner model that feels like a toy. Who should skip it? If you're a fingerstyle player who loves deep bass and crisp highs, you might find the Sapele back and sides a bit mid-heavy. I've played this against a Martin D28, and the D28 has more low-end punch and clarity. The DC-10E is balanced, but it's not a bass monster. Also, if you're planning to tour with it or toss it in the back of a van every weekend, consider the softshell case included. It's better than nothing, but it's not a hard shell. If you're rough on gear, you might want to upgrade the case down the line. One more thing, the neck profile is modern, which means it's slimmer than the vintage Martin profiles you might be used to. I like it because it lets me move faster up the neck, but if you're used to a chunkier neck from an older Martin, it might feel unfamiliar at first. Give it a week of playing before you decide it's not for you. So, is the Martin DC-10E worth it? If you need a gig-ready Dreadnought with a cutaway, solid spruce top, and reliable electronics without spending four figures, this is one of the best options out there. It's not perfect straight out of the box, but with a minor setup tweak, it plays like a guitar that costs twice as